So I thought I'd start off today's video with a beer in hand as a little bit of a celebration because we just wrapped up two massive events for Lowell Productions.
It gives me great pleasure to say this. Good evening, everybody. We have an amazing show for all of you, Atlanta. Crystal, what do we have today?
A little bit of background in regards to what we were going with for each of these different events. Now, the first one was going to be the Breaking Points event, where we actually featured 3 cameras, 2 being 2 GH5s, whether it be with the 70 to 200, similar to the current setup that you're seeing here, or the other GH5 actually had the, I want to say, 35 to 100 f4 to 5.6. Now, this was strictly because we didn't actually have 2 pieces of the Canon glass for the 70 to 200, so we used this. Our center camera, which was just our big wide, which was a GH5S. Now, this one was actually paired up with the 24 to 105, nice and wide, you guys can see it. And then handheld, we had the Lumix S5, and that was more so used for pickup shots, nice B-roll, and then also photography, which you guys are currently seeing. Now, that was a nice bit of a touch, mainly because it meant with the GH5s rolling, the GH4, the GH5S, we had 2 card slots, unlimited recorded times, shooting in 8-bit, 24 frames per second. Cameras were locked down on tripods, pretty easy for the most part. As long as we had battery life, we were sitting pretty. Now, as far as setup goes for each of our rigs, you guys can kind of see here what we have going on. Our GH5 with the 70 to 200 Metabone speed booster, V-mount, we've got a shotgun mic, pretty much just to get some room audio that we're going to be actually syncing up with our nice audio. And then we have a monitor. Really, I advise having a monitor for pulling focus. It just really helps. And you kind of can see things that are in the shot that could be distracting that you wouldn't normally catch on your small LCD screen. Now, the GH4, this was pretty much used for a mega wide in the back of the room, really up high. It was kind of more so used as it was running the whole time, but the initial kind of use of it was going to be a time lapse. Now, like I mentioned, the S5, just shooting a combination of photos and video, was a nice touch for our recap video, but kind of the main reason we were there was to shoot the long form event, which we pulled off no problem. Battery life was fine. Having this V-mount running our power not only for the camera but the monitor really makes me kind of safe in regards to filming anywhere from 2 upwards to 8 hours. Now, as we move into our second event, which was Eagle Forum's 50th event, Eagle Council in St. Louis, this was a little bit of an easier task, and our setup was basically just a GH5 with the 70 to 200 and then the GH4 with the Nifty 50. Now, we're currently filming with the Nifty 50, so let's just go ahead and take in consideration that's what we had on the GH4, and we were using the GH4 as our wide shot and the GH5 as our tight. And you guys are probably seeing some footage right now. I was pretty happy with it. Small disclaimer for the actual Eagle Forum event, the lighting was absolutely awful, and I was pretty impressed with the GH5 holding its own in that environment. Now, I was shooting at roughly ISO 1200, and then with the GH4, pretty much doing the same, other than I had the ability to knock that f-stop or that aperture down a little bit more, so I might have been doing more of like ISO 800. Now, we were pretty far away from where we were filming, and you guys can see in the shots, but we had both cameras side by side rolling pretty much the entire time with the GH5, and then on our wide shot, when speakers were just one at a time, I'd kill the wide, just roll with the main. And like I mentioned, with the V-mount plus the dual card slot shooting that 8-bit, I found that I had no issues. If anything, the toughest part of either of these events was going to be audio, which we recorded directly into a Zoom H6 recorder, and for the most part, I monitored that for both events and found that the audio was pretty solid. But I really make this video just to stress over and over again how reliable these Lumix cameras are. Whether it be this old GH5 from years ago, the footage is amazing in 4K, unlimited record times. I never, ever for 1 second had to worry about the cameras overheating. And then because these cameras are so small and compact, if you slap on a V-mount, you're really gonna find yourself in a situation where these cameras are going to run forever. If anything, I actually found that I was running out of memory card space before anything. And that's pretty simple with the GH5, the S5, any of these other cameras. You're gonna be able to, as long as one camera's SD card was rolling, you would be able to pop out the other in real time. Most of the times though, they had little 15 minutes breaks where I would just switch out cards and then I'd transfer what I just filmed onto my SSD, and I found that workflow to work pretty well. Now, to give you a little bit of it, like kind of understanding of this second event that was the bigger of the two, I ended up filming roughly about 1.3 terabytes. That was between photography and video. But let's take in consideration for the first day of that event for Eagle Forum, we were filming, I want to say 6 hours. And then the second day, we probably did about 10 hours of filming. Like I said, I had no overheating issues. I never ran any issues with the camera. If anything, it was just getting that white balance right and making sure that I had the ISO in a proper selection so that I wouldn't get in too much grain. But time and time again, man, the old Lumexes never fail me. I've got several events coming up, moving further into this year and even into next year. And I will most likely take the GH5, the GH4, and the S5. And if need be, I might even purchase another S5 or GH5 just because they're so handy. But with all these goodies, everything that you guys can see here and seeing some of the footage, 2 successful events, back-to-back weekends, making that cash, making those clients happy, and giving you guys a little bit of insight on why I swear by these cameras. They seem to never fail me. They always, my clients are happy, and especially at the price points that I'm able to offer, these cameras just time and time again keep delivering. So we're gonna cheers to Lumex, their cameras, making money, being an entrepreneur, and yeah, guys, if you have these cameras or you're looking to invest and you wanna do events, these Lumex cameras are gonna be fantastic. And yeah, cheers to that. How long did we go for? A little over 8 minutes. I'm down with that. Also, what do you guys think of this new background? Oh, do I even? Oh, I covered up my little LED light there. But I left the broom in the shot. That's amateur.